Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today, we're journeying back in time, really exploring the ancient wisdom and, the spiritual insights you find in the Rig Veda.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity.
It really is a chance to understand a whole civilization through their most sacred texts.
That's right. And our source material for this deep dive, it comes from excerpts of Rigveda-pages 5.pdf,
Okay.
which is, a foundational text from ancient India. It offers this, well, remarkable window into a spiritual world.
A world that feels both deeply human, but also...
Profoundly mystical, exactly.
So our mission here is to unpack how these people, this ancient society, sought connection with the divine. We'll look at their prayers for protection, for prosperity, well-being, and really get a feel for what their world looked like through these hymns.
We're aiming to pull out those essential nuggets of knowledge, the surprising bits, too, that really shed light on their worldview, their practices.
Yeah, getting beyond just the surface level.
Exactly. Not just reading it, but, distilling the core ideas, connecting the dots, giving you a real feel for the essence of their beliefs and how it shaped their lives.
Okay, let's dive right in then. Starting with, I suppose, the core purpose of these hymns.
Yeah.
These direct appeals to the gods.
Right. The human-divine connection.
Yeah.
And what jumps out immediately is, well, a very relatable human desire for comfort, for security.
Makes sense.
We find these invocations, for instance, to the Visvadevas that's often taken to mean, like, all the gods together.
Ah, okay.
And they're asking for riches, for heroes, which could mean strength, or maybe good offspring,
Right. Successors.
and felicity and joy. These aren't like abstract philosophical points. They're direct pleas for abundance.
Real tangible things.
Absolutely. Underscoring this deep desire for material and emotional prosperity.
And it wasn't just about getting rich, was it? I was struck by the calls for protection, for safety. They sound so urgent.
They really do. It paints a picture of a world with, well, real challenges.
Yep.
They're appealing to earth and heaven, asking them to protect us in every fire, asking the gods to help them pass safe beyond affliction, to keep us safe from harm, keep them from calamity.
So very specific fear.
Very. And we even see the Maruts, the storm gods, mentioned specifically as guarding mortal man from injury,
Okay.
and also these really personal pleas, asking for safety from slander, disgrace, even hate.
So it wasn't just physical danger. Social harm mattered, too.
Exactly. It suggests, a world where external threats were real, sure, but also where your reputation, social harmony, that was deeply valued too.
That's fascinating.
And beyond just safety, there's this strong focus on well-being, sort
Yeah.
of in the broadest sense.
Like health.
Yeah, exactly. Appeals to the Asmins. They're these divine horsemen,
Oh.
often linked with healing, with the dawn.
Okay.
They ask for their health-bestowing, happy guidance. So it's about physical vitality, yes, but also maybe clarity, direction in life.
Guidance, right.
And then prayers to the big gods, Indra, Vishnu, Varuna, Mitra, Agni, asking them to produce auspicious days.
So good fortune, favorable times.
Precisely. A desire for things to just go well day to day. And significantly, prayers to the gods' spouses to aid us to offspring.
Ah, fertility. Crucial.
Crucial. And for the roots, again, to give the seed of corn that wasteth not away. Sustenance, continuation of the community, it's all tied together.
So what does this tell us then? These ancient desires for abundance, safety, health, a good life free from harm, both physical and social. How does that resonate today?
Well, it shows how fundamental these human needs are, doesn't it?
It really does, spanning thousands of years, completely different cultures, but the core desires, they're still there.
And what's fascinating is these aren't just generic pleas. They're addressed to this really rich pantheon of deities.
Each with their own specialty, almost.
Exactly. Distinct gods with unique powers, unique attributes. It gives us this really vibrant, multifaceted picture of their spiritual world, how they saw specific functions handled by specific divine beings.
Okay, so speaking of distinct figures, Agni, the fire god, he seems absolutely central.
Oh, undeniably. Central to so many rituals.
He's the one getting the offerings, right? The sweet juice, the mead.
That's him. The libations are poured for him. The sacred cauldron is literally set upon him.
So he's like the conduit, the intermediary.
Precisely. He's at the very heart of the sacrifice, connecting humans and gods. He's described as having great vital power.
Powerful, yeah.
And there's this line, pairs waxing old and their devotions seek thee. It suggests longevity, continued faith.
That's beautiful, and he's watchful.
Yes, watchful, and the gods love him. So He's not just a tool. He's a beloved, ever-present deity. A powerful conduit, yes, but also more than that.
Okay, Agni's central, but then there's Soma. That one's intriguing.
Ah, Soma, yes. It's not quite a deity in the same way, is it? It's also this divine nectar.
A plant-based drink.
Exactly, an intoxicating drink. And its preparation is described so vividly. Pressed by 2 arms, 10 fingers, using a press stone, yielding this bright, glittering juice that dwells on mountains.
Wow, specific. And the purpose?
Well, the immediate purpose is pretty direct.
Mm.
To give thee power and might and high enjoyment.
Okay, straightforward enough.
But then you get this really interesting, almost personal phrase. This Soma saith unto the man who watches, I rest and have my dwelling in thy friendship.
Friendship with Soma.
It suggests that, doesn't it? A
Yeah.
very intimate, maybe even reciprocal relationship with this divine substance. More than just an offering, maybe a transformative experience.
That's incredible. A divine drink offering friendship to the watchful. We'll come back to that idea of being watchful, I think.
Definitely.
And then we have Vayu, the wind god, often paired with Indra.
Yes, Vayu pops up frequently as a drinker of the mead, the Soma, often alongside Indra, the warrior king.
Right. Indra, the powerhouse, invoked in thy car with his 2 well-trained and deer bay horses. Sounds like a true leader.
Very much the image of a powerful king, ready for action, ready for conquest.
But you mentioned earlier the Maruts, the storm gods. You said their descriptions were particularly striking.
Oh, absolutely. Some of the most, well, poetic and forceful imagery is reserved for them.
Like what?
They're loud in song, gleaming with lightning. They're called casters of the stone, overthrowers of the hills.
Whoa. Sounds intense.
It is. Their sound alone is depicted as terrifying. Roaring in onset, violent and exceeding strong.
Right, the power of a storm.
Exactly. And their connection to water is huge. They set the storm cloud free to stream through both the worlds. They can inundate the earth with floods of pleasant meath that's likely soma or rain.
Life-giving rain, then.
Yes, and they can bow the hill that gives imperishable rain. So they have this dual nature, incredibly destructive power, but also essential life-giving power.
And their appearance. You said it was imaginative.
Oh, it's fantastic. The hymns paint this picture. Lances on your shoulders, anklets on your feet. Gold chains are on your breasts, gems on your car.
Sounds like warriors.
Decked out warriors. Lightnings aglow with flame are flashing in your hands, and visors wrought of gold are laid upon your heads.
It really is like something out of an epic fantasy.
It truly is. And they even mention their family. Prisni as their mother cow, maybe hinting at a nurturing side.
A cow mother for storm gods.
Yes.
Interesting.
And the impetuous Rudra as their sire, connecting them to this fierce, untamed divine power.
And they do things too, like actions.
Yes, they have danced about the spring, which is evocative,
Oh.
and they can cleave the rock asunder in their might. Just raw power.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. The sheer vividness is amazing.
It really is.
What's fascinating, I think, is how these gods embody natural forces, fire, wind, storms, but they're given such specific, almost human traits, families, armor.
Exactly. It brings their world alive, doesn't it? It shows this deep reverence for nature's power, but also a way of understanding it, personifying it, making it relatable in a way, even in its terror.
It absolutely does. And there were others too, right? Beyond Agni, Soma, Indra, the Maruts.
Oh, yes. The Rig Veda introduces a whole host of significant deities, each adding another layer.
Like Surya, the sun god.
Right, Surya. Spreading his light as splendor, moving o'er the foes, described beautifully as having mounted to the shining ocean and drawn like a ship through water.
That constant journey across the sky. Life-giving.
Precisely. Then there's Sarasvati, often a river goddess, called holy, balmy goddess, invoked as someone who really hears prayers.
A listener.
Yes. And Pusan, the nourisher, described as bountiful, sending blessings, clearly linked to sustenance, prosperity.
Makes sense.
And then you often get Varuna, Mitra, and Aditi invoked together.
What do they represent?
Well, complex concepts. Varuna often linked to cosmic order, Mitra to friendship or contracts, Aditi to boundlessness of freedom. They're frequently called upon for protection, for fortune.
They're willing to listen.
Yes, that's emphasized. Their willingness to hear the supplicant. Their collective presence really paints this picture of a world just permeated by the divine, every aspect covered.
So moving from the gods themselves, what about the rituals, the practices, and how they understood the cosmos?
Right. It's not just who they prayed to, but how they did it, how they interacted, and what that tells us about their bigger picture understanding.
And offerings and hymns seem crucial here.
Absolutely central. We hear about preparing sweet libations, the act of sacrifice itself, clearly fundamental for making that connection.
But the hymns, the songs, they feel like the main channel.
They really stand out, don't they, as the primary living way to communicate. The text even mentions how worshipers were warned with constant serving.
That speaks volumes, doesn't it, about the dedication?
Immense dedication. This wasn't casual. It was a profound, maybe daily commitment. A lot of energy went into these rituals.
Not just going through the motion.
No, not at all. And then woven into these rituals are these incredible cosmic and mystical elements. It reveals a really unique worldview.
What kind of elements?
Well, imagery like the mountain open, or sun hath risen and opted the stable portals, and even the doors of men too hath the God thrown open.
Implying.
Well,
What? Access. Revelation.
perhaps an opening up of the world, access to sacred knowledge, blessings maybe. Heaven is described as established like a firm set pillar.
A sense of order. Stability.
Yes, a stable cosmic architecture. And there's that line about the mystic knowledge that while the waters stand, the streams are flowing.
That's beautiful. A paradox.
It is. It hints at deeper truths, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About reality, continuous flow, even within seeming stillness.
So you have these precise ritual actions, but then this profoundly poetic, almost surreal imagery describing the cosmos.
Exactly. You get deities described as a steer, sea, red bird with strong wings entering the dwelling place of the primeval father.
Wow.
Or a gay-hued stone set in the midst of heaven, and the evocative phrase, mothers weave garments for him, their offspring.
So what does this incredible blend tell us about their daily lives, their connection to nature? It feels like everything was just imbued with meaning.
It really does. It points to a worldview where the sacred and the mundane weren't separate. Every natural event, every part of life had this divine counterpart, this deeper significance.
And the hard work involved in the ritual.
That diligence, yes. Particularly that idea we touched on. Sacred hymns love him who wakes and watches.
Right, and the Soma connection too.
And Soma saying to the man who watches, I rest and have my dwelling in thy friendship. Explicitly contrasting that with, not he who sleeps.
So being awake, alert, engaged, that was key.
It strongly suggests a valuing of vigilance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Active engagement. It implies that divine favor, blessings, they weren't just passively received.
You had to earn them, or at least be ready for them.
Maybe be ready, be receptive. It seems to be the result of conscious effort, wakefulness, a watchful spirit in your devotion.
What a deep dive this has been. We've really opened a window, haven't we, into this incredibly rich spiritual world where everything's seeking protection day to day, wanting prosperity, understanding the cosmos itself. It was all intertwined with the divine through these hymns.
We've seen how they sought that protection, how they longed for prosperity, and how they pursued that deep connection through really meticulous ritual, through heartfelt praise.
Yeah, giving us this vivid picture of their beliefs, their practices, things that feel so ancient, yet strangely relatable in some ways.
Absolutely. Those core human desires persist.
So thinking about all these ancient appeals for health, wealth, guidance, what does that emphasis in the Rig Veda on being watchful, on actively engaging, what does that tell us about what they thought was necessary to actually receive these blessings?
It's a powerful question, that emphasis on active participation.
And maybe how might that ancient wisdom, this idea of vigilance, of active participation in your own spiritual life, or even just life generally, how might that resonate with how we seek well-being and connection in our own lives today?
Something definitely worth pondering. That link between effort, awareness, and receiving, whatever it is we seek.